Good afternoon, everyone. It is 1 p.m. and I'll call to order the Board of Directors special meeting for Monday, May 19th, 2025. May I have a roll call, please?
Director Meyerhoffen.
Here.
Director Duff.
Present.
Director Martin.
Here.
Vice President Griffith.
Present.
And President Sewell.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Thank you. And seeing that all 5 directors are in person, we'll skip item 3 and move on to item 4, Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd please rise. Director Martin, would you like to lead us?
Place your hand over your heart and join me in saluting our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 5, Rules of Procedure, Counselor.
Yes, according to the rules of procedure adopted by the board, all notice meetings are conducted using Rosenberg's Rules of Order as a procedural guideline. Directors should refrain from responding directly to public comments at meetings of the board. The president of the board presides at all meetings and decides all points of order and procedure during meetings. The president is responsible for the maintenance of order and decorum. At all board meetings, no person should be allowed to speak who has not first been recognized by the president. All questions and remarks should be addressed to the president as a presiding officer. No member of the board should speak more than once upon any one subject until every other member of the board wishing to speak on the subject shall have been given an opportunity to speak. No board member shall interfere with the orderly progress of a board meeting.
Thank you. Item 6, Public Input. This is the opportunity for members of the public to address the board on matters within the board's jurisdiction. Please limit comments to 3 minutes or less. State law prohibits the board from discussing or taking action on any item not listed on the agenda. Do we have any members of the public wishing to address the board?
President Sewell, we do not online.
Thank you. We'll move on. And before we get to our employee recognition, we have our Real Academy students here, and we'll do that item first.
Thank you, President Sewell. Good afternoon, members of the board. As I've mentioned to you before, this last semester we have expanded our Real Academy internship program. And this past spring, we had 8 more students come in. So a total of 12 students in the spring semester that we were able to host. This group of 8, they worked in our public affairs, our GIS, our wastewater, our production, our construction and maintenance, and our field services teams. Today, I'm pleased to introduce these students to you, and along with their job training, each of them has received a letter of recommendation and a certificate of achievement from the district. So as I call your name, I'll ask you each to come up and just stand, and we'll all stay here together, and then we'll take a photo. Okay. So first, I'd like to introduce D'Angelo Valencia. D'Angelo? Born in Desert Hot Springs, D'Angelo joined Real Academy during his freshman year and has been actively involved in events and activities ever since. During his internship with the wastewater department, he developed a keen interest in the intricacies of wastewater treatment, gaining valuable insights into the entire process. Now, as he's preparing for graduation, he's setting his sights on studying engineering, fueled by his passion for problem solving and innovation. Next, I'd like to introduce Nathan Rodriguez. Nathan was in our construction and maintenance team. He brings a lot of unique energy and perspective to the group. Originally from San Diego, Nathan moved to Desert Hot Springs at the age of 6 and joined Real Academy at the end of his freshman year. He has a passion for hands-on experiences, especially in construction and maintenance, and his ultimate goal is to become a comedian, and that's no joke. Next, I'd like to introduce Isaac Guzman, our GIS from GIS. Isaac, come on up. Born in Glendale and raised in Moreno Valley, Isaac joined Real Academy as a freshman and he appreciated the activities and friendships he's developed in the Real Academy. He plans to pursue a college education in engineering with an emphasis in GIS. Josue Osana, I don't know, Josue, how did I miss that out? Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce you to a very talented individual. He's actively involved in a variety of activities that showcase his diverse skills and passions and his creativity. From playing in a band to being on the cross-country team, he's proven his dedication, teamwork, and perseverance. He's also a key member of the broadcast journalism group, where he's honed his storytelling and leadership skills, and he was a great addition to our public affairs team. He plans to go to college, and he recently developed a strong interest in public affairs, seeing that it's a career path that perfectly blends with his many talents. Next, I'd like to introduce Eric Mayorga. Did I say that right, Eric? Eric was in our wastewater department. During that time, he immersed himself in every detail, contributing significantly to our recent tour of the Nancy Wright facility during the CWEA conference. His dedication and his hands-on approach have revealed a potential career path in wastewater management, and we really look forward to seeing where this is going to take him. Joshua Trout is next. He was in our GIS department. From exploring GIS and uncovering the marvels of software engineering to forming lasting friendships within the Real Academy, Joshua has shown us the power of curiosity, collaboration, and growth. His story is a testament to how learning opportunities and meaningful connections can shape the path to success. Next, we have Eric Valenzuela. Eric interned with April and I in our public affairs department, where he worked on an archive project that focused on the history of MSWD and the historical pictures we have. He appreciates the structure and the opportunities in the Real Academy, and he joined as a freshman. And he's recommending to the Academy to his sister, who's going to be a freshman next year, correct? Yes, great. He has great organizational skills and great creativity, and he really helped us get our history documents in shape. And last but certainly not least, Cesar Zarza, who was both in our water production and our field services team. He had a unique opportunity to explore the multifaceted departments and understand their essential contributions to our industry. He enjoyed learning about the different departments and what they each do. And again, he's one of those ones that we're going to keep our eye on, and we really look forward to seeing where these skills take him. And this is your latest grouping of spring interns. Thank you.
Great. Congratulations.
So there you go.
I have to stagger some.
Okay. Naturally. You're going to have to work at it, huh?
You guys want to open your certificates and hold them forward? That would be great. There we go. It's a little complicated, I know. There we go.
Awesome.
And thank you all for all of your work you've done, and congratulations. Hopefully you can share your experiences with each other. There's a lot of opportunity in the water industry.
Yeah, they've been really ready to get out the door.
Get them back to the next place.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 7, Human Resources Report. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell, members of the board. Our Human Resources Manager, Oriana Hoffer, will give this item. Oriana?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, President Sewell and members of the board. We have a lot to celebrate today. We have one new hire to introduce to you, 2 milestone anniversaries, and 2 promotions. To start, we are happy to introduce Water Production Supervisor Nathaniel Mather. He goes by Nate. Nate has over 20 years of experience in the water wastewater industry. Most recently, he served as the Water Utility Supervisor for San Bernardino Municipal Water District Department. In this role, he led field crews, coordinated water distribution system maintenance and repair projects, and worked closely with the public and contractors to ensure reliable service delivery. Nate holds a Water Distribution 4, D4, a Water Treatment 2, a T2, and a Wastewater Operations Grade 3 certification. Prior to entering the water industry, Nate served honorably in the United States Marine Corps. Here to introduce Nate is Field Operations Superintendent Jeff Nutter.
Good afternoon, President Swool and the members of the board. I just want to welcome Nate to the team of MSWD. As Oriana just mentioned, he comes with a lot of background, and we look forward to what he can actually bring to the water production. So it's only been 4 weeks, and yeah, be a long time to go. So we look forward to what he can bring.
Great.
Members of the board and Mr. President, looking forward to my years to come here at the Mission Springs Water District, and I'm looking forward to contributing what I can do to help and get this nice safe drinking water to the customers.
Thank you. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
This month, we are proud to recognize Jason Weekly for 5 years of dedicated service to the district. Since joining our team, Jason has consistently demonstrated reliability, strong work ethic, and a commitment to supporting our operations. He's always willing to go above and beyond, whether that means staying late when needed, responding to emergency calls, or assisting other departments. Jason's contributions have made him a valuable member of our team. To tell us more, please welcome again Field Operations Superintendent Jeff Nutter.
Good afternoon again. Jason came in with that work, ethic that we all been looking for. And recently he's really done a fantastic job. We've had several broken valves over on one area that we've been really working with. And he's done a great job with really looking into the system and making sure when we do shutdowns that he only puts the minimum, customers out of water, scheduling sampling with water production. And the attention to detail in the last probably 6-8 months has been, really appreciated by Jason. So hopefully he continues. He's looking at the maps, looking at GeoViewer, and doing a fantastic job for the construction maintenance team. So appreciate everything you do, Jason.
I just want to say thank you, President Sewell. Thank you, General Manager Macy. I want to thank Jeff Nutter and all my colleagues that surround me for the continued help. And the 5 years has gone by really fast, and they've made it great. They really have. Thank you.
Great. We hope to have you around for many more.
Next, we are honored to celebrate a significant milestone, 20 years of dedicated service by David Peña. Throughout his career with the district, David has consistently delivered outstanding customer service in the field. He has always been willing to step up, volunteering for extra standby shifts and covering for others when needed. Now, serving as a lead, David continues to support his staff with after-hours customer account issues and remains a dependable resource for resolving service-related matters. To introduce David, please welcome Field Operations Superintendent Jeff Nutter.
Good afternoon again. Sound like a broken record today. And again, work ethic goes a long ways. And I know we've said this about all of our employees. It should speak a lot about MSWD and the teamwork that we have. Dave is another one that has great work ethic. Here just recently, he's taken upon to start changing out some registers or antennas to get our non-readers down. So he's going to tackle that, head on. So look forward to seeing what that can do for us. But like Oriana was saying, there's been times where on-call staff after hours will have an issue or a count that they don't understand, maybe off or something like that. And David always answers and can help them walk them through, like, if it's a legit call or no, that's an error, and they'll go out and make the customer happy. So I know the field staff really appreciates him being available. So again, thank you, Dave, for everything you do.
Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to serve this community. As they say, 20 years I've been here, and it feels like Jason said, goes quick. It does go by quick, and I really appreciate the opportunity to work with my coworkers, for all the opportunities that the water district gives me, and serving this great community of Desert Hot. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Now some promotions. We are proud to announce Ana Murillo's promotion from accounting technician to accountant. She has stepped into the role temporarily and quickly proved herself through outstanding performance, leading to this well-deserved permanent appointment. Her outstanding performance and a strong work ethic also earned her a nomination for Employee of the Year among our administrative staff, a reflection of the high regard her colleagues have both for her contributions and character. To formally introduce Ana, please welcome our Director of Finance, Arturo Ceja.
Thank you, President Sewell, members of the board. It is my pleasure to talk about Ana. She has been doing an outstanding job in the accounting department, primarily tackling on payroll over the last couple of years, whether it's mandatory for state changes or new benefits that we add to the system. Ana's the one that goes in there. A year ago, I asked Ana that I did not want to see time cards with any chicken scratch or any numbers that were confusing, just because at the end of the day, we know that what problems that can create. That has been cleaned up in the last year, and she's been doing a great job. I'm sure you're going to see this later on in the register of demand, some of the cleanup that she does with PERS and submitting to the PERS for some of the evaluations that get turned in a little bit late, and she has to make those corrections. And right now, tackling on the payroll change that we're doing, we're outsourcing payroll to Paychecks, and she's been doing, again, that cleanup to make that change. She's still going to be the one reviewing and making sure that those numbers match, but Paychecks will now be providing the paychecks to the employees. And a little bit that Ana wanted to speak to the board.
Good afternoon, President Sewell and members of the board. I'm truly grateful for this promotion and for the trust and support of the district. I don't take that responsibility lightly, and I'm eager to take the next step in my professional journey. I have learned so much from those around me, and I'm committed to continue that growth and contributing fully in this new role. I look forward to what lies ahead. Thank you once again for this opportunity. I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Last, but certainly not least, we are pleased to announce the promotion of Joey McElroon from Wastewater Treatment Plant Operator 1 to Wastewater Treatment Plant Operator 2. Joey has been a valued member of our team for over 3.5 years and has consistently demonstrated dedication, reliability, and a strong team-oriented mindset. He's always willing to step up, assist where needed, and contribute to the overall success of the plant's operations. To formally introduce Joey, please welcome Interim Chief Plant Operator, Andy Granite.
Chairman Macy, President Sewell, members of the board. I think this is my third time. My last third trip here has always been Joey, so he's doing something right. So, so I've said a lot about him. You know what? It's nice to have someone that actually not only cares about his job, but cares about the city and everything involved with it too. So it's refreshing to have him every single day come into work and wanting to make a change, wanting to do better, make the plant easier, run better, learning too, grasping every little thing and trying to figure out why everything works. Now, you know, the right facility has been online since February. Joey's been a crucial role in that part. Joey's been with the contractor, figuring stuff out, how stuff works. This is a whole new system for us. So we need the best people to do the best and learn the best. That way they can teach everyone else. Joey not only works well with the contractor, but he's been phenomenal there, just making the plant smooth transition and keeping us within our required limits. So I appreciate everything you do, Joey. So thank you so much for everything. So appreciate it, guys.
President Sewell, members of the board. I just want to say thank you. Andy makes it easy to come to work. Just makes it enjoyable. I just glad that I have the opportunity to be here and contribute. Thank you.
Thank you, Joey.
This concludes our human resources report for today. We appreciate and thank our employees for the dedication and commitment to the district and to our customers. Thank you.
What are the things that they ran the academy just like a Marine Corps boot camp. Yeah. Yelling in my. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Anna snuck out.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yeah. Welcome.
You did, Wes.
Thank you. That's like a woman, too.
Thank you. Thank you all, and thank you, Jeff and Andy, too. And with that, we'll move on to our action items. We have item 8, Resolution 2025-07, acceptance of grant award for the West Palm Springs Village, Palm Springs Crest Water Systems Backup Intertie Design Project. It is recommended to adopt Resolution 2025-07, approving the acceptance of the award of the grant funding from the Bureau of Reclamation for the preliminary planning of the West Palm Springs Village, Palm Springs Crest Water Systems Backup Intertie Project. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell, members of the board. Will Witten will be giving this presentation. I know there's a lot of Palm Springs referenced in this. These are our two systems that are out to the west. It has nothing to do with the city of Palm Springs. That's just the title that we've always had for those two areas, and it'd be combining those two. Will?
Thank you, General Manager Macy, President Sewell, and members of the board. Approximately 1 year ago, we came to the board with a grant opportunity through the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation for the design of an interconnection for the IDE area that would connect those two water systems that have Palm Springs in the name, both of them, West Palm Springs Village and the Palm Springs Crest water systems. Today, we are happy to report that the Bureau of Reclamation has awarded Mission Springs Water District $358,010 for the design and planning project. This project, once constructed, will increase system reliability in the IDE area and allow for better water management practices. It also aligns with our water master plan and also SMART goal number 4.3 of the district strategic plan. Therefore, it is staff's recommendation that the board approve the acceptance of this award so we can move to the next steps in the process and ultimately towards accomplishing the goals in both the strategic plan and water master plan. Any questions?
Thank you, Will. Any questions or comments, Director Martin? Director Maya?
No.
Director Duff? Vice President?
It's Bureau Reclamation. It's a grant. Grab it while you can.
Right. And I have nothing further. Do we have any, I'm assuming no, members of the public wishing to speak on item 8? And with that, do we have a motion for the item?
I'll move.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith.
Aye.
And President Sewell.
Yes.
Item passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Will. Item 9, Resolution 2025-08, recommending approval of a notice of exemption determination under the California Environmental Quality Act for the Horton Wastewater Treatment Plant Solar PPA project. It is recommended to adopt Resolution 2025-08, recommending approval of a notice of exemption determination under the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, guidelines pursuant to Section 15300 for the Horton Wastewater Treatment Plant Solar PPA project, and direct the general manager to sign the attached notice of exemption and file the same with the Riverside County Clerk. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell. Our Director of Operations, Danny Friend, will handle this item. Danny?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, President Sewell, members of the board. Before you is a fairly routine CEQA process. The project, as we know, our PPA Solar, it began as a capital project that didn't get approved. It started off as a larger project that had several individual well sites. In January, we brought an amendment to Tom Dodson and Associates contract to actually do the CEQA for this. The majority of the CEQA for this project is the initial study and MND, mitigated negative deck. That's still underway. With the well sites that were determined not to be completed with a solar project, the project themselves are getting rolled into the res BCT, or the solar site that'll be north of our existing site. That's part of the ISMND. I'll be bringing that back to the board, as well as the regional site, which is the other native bare land that's to the just immediately west of that. Anyhow, the consultant Tom Dodson Associates determined that this qualified for a category exemption under 15300, which covers all category exemptions. Specifically for this project is 15303E and D, as they refer to it as new construction or conversion of small structures. Excuse me. Although I put on here, it has zero cost. There's zero cost associated with approving this today. The cost to do the work was approved in January when I brought it to the board. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Danny. Director Duff? Vice President? Director Meyer?
No.
Thank you. And with that, do we have a motion on the item?
I'll move to approve the resolution 2025-08.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
President Sewell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you, Danny. Item 10, approve change order number 1 with Southwest and Drilling Incorporated for on-call well and booster maintenance and repair services. It is recommended the general manager be authorized to approve change order number 1 with Southwest Pump and Drilling Incorporated for the on-call well and booster maintenance and repair services contract. The change order would increase the contract amount by $47,549 from $150,000 to a not to exceed amount of $197,549, and authorize the general manager to do all things necessary to complete the project. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell. Danny Friend, our Director of Operations, will take this. Danny?
Once again, thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, President Sewell and members of the board. Before you is a contract that we have, on-call contracts. We have 3 of them currently. We're down to 2. Just as some background, one of the contractors was merged or got bought out by another company. We're still vetting
They were selected on an RFP process, so we're still working through that process so that we could either it's pretty late in the year, but we'll likely go ahead starting July 1. But currently we have 2 contracts. Southwest Pump and Drilling is one. We requested that they provide a proposal to pull well 30. Well 30 has been offline since 2009, roughly. It was at one time, well, it had mechanical failure at the time that it went down, and also was subject to requiring uranium treatment at the time. Many of the wells at that time were contemplating uranium treatment, but it's been trending downward. The reason we're bringing this to you rather than bringing it to you in July 1 is the urgency of getting additional wells online, or the potential. We don't know at this point in time, but in January, at mid-year, I brought this project with well 28, both wells being taken offline. We are looking to do a downhole investigation, taking that to see if what rehab requirements would be, and then come back to the board to issue a rehab contract. So this is strictly to go ahead and pull the equipment, evaluate the equipment, do a downhole video, do what they call an EMDS survey, is where they do a survey of the casing to see how thick the casing is above and below the water line. Based off of that, we'll give it to our other consultant, which is Russ Kyle from Kyle Groundwater. They'll determine whether, in this particular case, if it can be rehabbed, the level of rehab that it can withstand, or it's not recommended to rehab this well at all. So, given the urgency that we are looking to get this well, understand what's going on with this well sooner than later, I'm bringing it to you at this time. One thing I like to point out is typically we note that it's includes a proposal with a 10% contingency. I failed to put that language in there. The documentation that supports it in change order number 1 plus the payment tracking, it includes a 10% contingency. So we're asking for your consideration to approve this change order. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you. Director Martin?
No.
Director Meyer?
No.
Director Duff?
So just clarifying, this is for which well in particular?
Well, 30, I apologize for not having a graphic.
Okay, I don't need a graphic.
I can take you there. Go
Well
with
30,
me.
all I wanted to know.
Well 30 is at the corner of Indian Canyon and Mission
Mission Lakes.
Yeah, it's right there. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then I just wanted to clarify, the 47,549 is what they are requiring, or what they have quoted as what will cost all of this inspection and everything, right? Is that what I'm?
It's less than that. That amount includes a 10% contingency. So it's actually 41 and some change. So I just failed to put that language in.
That's okay. Thank you.
But the attached proposal has the exact amount.
I saw that. Thank you.
Vice President?
I don't.
Will the downhole, will that include, like, it will give us ideas on the quality of the water that we'd be getting?
It can, but at this point in time, let's say, for example, if we can get something to bring water up, which would be nice, we can probably incorporate that and hopefully put that within the contingency, but the scope doesn't contemplate that.
It's just
But yes, it would be at this time wise to try to get that. We were looking just to evaluate the equipment and see whether what was needed downhole, if we could do a rehab.
Okay, great. And with that, I'll move to accept item 10.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyer-Hoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
and President Sewell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
And thank you, Danny. Item 11, Human Relations Committee Report, Minutes Approval and Recommendation for Action. It is recommended that the board consider the Human Relations Committee's recommendations and approve the committee's minutes, and direct the Director of Finance to implement the actions item as part of the annual budget process.
Thank you, President Sewell. As just discussed, this is the meeting minutes of the committee meeting for Human Relations. I would open it up to the chair, to Russ Martin, if you'd like to say anything about this item, but we do have a prepared presentation that staff has provided giving an overall review of the committee meeting.
No, I don't have anything to add.
Okay. Oriana, our Human Resources Manager, will provide some key items that were discussed and then also the recommendations that came out of the committee meeting. Oriana? Oriana, you're still on mute.
Well, that doesn't help, does it? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, fantastic. So just a small recap. The process of the employee request is not new. We have followed this process for over 20 years, and the process includes meeting with the employees that happened on March 5th, evaluating the request, meeting with the Human Relations Committee, and here we are, meeting with the Board of Directors. Approved items are then implemented as part of the annual budget process. The evaluation of requests is completed by senior management, and it is based on past board feedback, legal guidance, labor market conditions, and some items that can be done administratively, such as they were already planned or had to do with safety. So here's the list of the items, the 4 items that the Human Relations Committee is recommended. The detailed analysis and financial impact is included with my staff report, but I will go through each one of the recommendations individually and answer any questions you may have. So the first recommendation is the cost of living adjustment, or COLA. The March 2025 Consumer Index, or CPI, that Mission Springs uses shows a 2.6% increase in COLA. The estimated fiscal impact is $139,000, and this is based on current staffing and wages. Before I move to the next recommendation, are there any questions on this item?
Any questions from the board? No, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. The next recommendation is 1 additional optional holiday. Currently, Mission Springs provides a total of 13 paid holidays annually, which includes 10 observed holidays and 3 optional or floating holidays. And a recent survey of 12 comparable agencies revealed that 10 of them offer a minimum of 14 paid holidays, including both observed and optional floating holidays. Compensation for the additional holiday is included as part of the salaries and wages and will be already part of the budget. So there is no additional fiscal impact to this request. Are there any questions on this item?
Any questions from the board? Thank you.
Thank you. The next recommendation is a flexible spending account, or FSA. An FSA, as most of you know, is an employer-sponsored savings account that employees can use to set aside pre-tax money to pay for eligible healthcare and dependent care expenses. And participation in the FSA is entirely voluntary. The actual fiscal impact to the district will vary depending on the number of participating employees. But some of the estimated costs are $375 a month per employee. There is some initial document setup and some compliant testing, but we estimate we also want to reduce the maximum contributions to $1,500. This was a surprise item for me. When we did a research of comparable agencies, 12 of the 12 agencies provide the FSA plan, and with most employers covering the administrative fee, that is the $375 a month fee and the documentation set up. There are some risks that I highlighted in my analysis because in accordance with IRS guidelines, the full annual contribution must be made available to the employee at the beginning of the plan year. Then contributions are deducted from payroll throughout the year on a pre-tax basis. So that means that if an employee pay period, I'm sorry. So that means that if an employee wishes to contribute $1,000, let's say towards their FSA, in January, the balance is available to them. Then each pay period, they will be deducted about $40 to pay towards it. The risk comes if the employee separates from employment before their payroll contributions have matched the full upfronted amount. In that case, the district may incur a partial loss, and that will be depending on when the employee leaves and the balance on the FSA account. However, to balance that, in accordance with IRS regulations, any funds that were not used at the end of the plan year are generally forfeited and revert back to the employer. And this provision may help offset potential losses from early employee departure. We anticipate the risk to be minimal since we are proposing a $1,500 limit as opposed to the over $3,500 that the IRS allows. And we just want to see how it's going to work out. But by offering an FSA, the district would provide employees with a valuable financial planning tool while also potentially reducing the district's payroll tax liability on employee contributions. So we anticipate the overall initial impact to be $3,430. And this is assuming a 100% employee participation and excluding any forfeitures or losses from employee separations. Are there any questions on this item?
Any questions? No, thank you.
And the last recommendation is compensatory time increase accruals to 80 hours. So currently, employees are allowed to accrue up to 40 hours of compensatory time. We are proposing to increase the accrual limit to 80 hours. The district will cash out all outstanding compensatory time accruals at the end of each fiscal year. So every new year, the employee will start with a fresh, clean balance. While there may be a small financial impact to the district as merit increases may increase the required payout at the end of the fiscal year, it is estimated that any additional cost would be offset by the district not incurring extra costs to pay for overtime in lieu of already budget hours and costs. Therefore, it is estimated that this request will not increase the budget. Passed it. Are there any questions on this item?
Any questions? No, no, thank you.
So the Human Relations Committee's recommendations are the cost of living adjustment, one additional optional holiday, a flexible spending account, and compensation time increase accruals to 80 hours. Any questions on any of this?
Director Martin? Director Meyer? Questions or comments? Director Duff? Vice President? And I just say I had questions as you started, Oriana, but your slideshow was very thorough, so thank you for that. And unless anything further, I would move to accept the Human Relations Committee report and recommendation for action.
And there's no comment, no public comment.
Did we have any public comment on item 11?
None online, President Sewell.
Thank you. And Will, do you know, are there no members of public online or just none wanting to speak?
None that I can see on my end.
Okay, if that changes, can you let me know so we can make sure to request?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
and President Sewell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 12, contract amendment and budget augmentation for Intelisys Communication Services. It is recommended that the general manager be authorized to execute a contract amendment and budget augmentation with Intelisys Communication Services in the amount of $7,435.52 for a not to exceed amount of $117,005.52. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell. I'll ask Kurt, our Innovation Technology Manager, to handle this item. Kurt, would you like to add to this?
Sure. Thank you, Chairman Manager Macy, President Sewell, members of the board. So this is basically the overage here. We're asking for the budget augmentation for is because of the licensing for all of our Microsoft licenses, channels, email, and software and stuff like that. We had been using the software license provider provided by our old IT company, and then when it came time to renew that annual contract with Microsoft for those licenses, we made a decision to switch from that provider to Intelisys because Intelisys, our current IT company, didn't have any administrative ability over those licenses. So if I were to be out of the office, it'd make it challenging to get the licensing that we might need. So by putting everything under our IT company, they're able to handle it themselves. The only kind of side effect of that is that we are now paying them the exact same amount we would have been paying the other company, which now affects their contract not to exceed.
Makes sense. Any questions, Director Duff?
And the other company is canceled at that point?
When we transfer the licensing over, the other company's name is Pax8, but they were a reseller through our old IT company. Yes, we canceled the licensing. Basically, we ended the licensing at the same time we restarted it with a different provider.
Perfect. Thank you.
Vice President?
No.
Director Martin?
No.
Director Manuel? And I have nothing further. Thank you, Kurt. Do we have a motion for item 13?
Move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
President Sewell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 13, contract amendment and budget augmentation for the MWH Constructors Incorporated for construction management and inspection services for the Skyborn Village 3 Lennar's Home development. It is recommended that the general manager be authorized to execute a contract amendment and budget augmentation with MWH Constructors in the amount of $59,150 for a not to exceed total amount of $344,722. General manager.
Thank you, President Sewell. I will ask our engineering manager, Eric Weck, to take this item. Eric?
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, President Sewell and members of the board. Item 13 of this afternoon's agenda pertains to amending the existing contract and augmenting the budget with MWH Constructors for inspection services that they are currently performing on the Skyborn Village 3 Lennar Homes development. Last summer, the board approved a professional services contract for full-time CM and inspection services with MWH Constructors to inspect the water and sewer improvements being constructed by the developer. These improvements are developer-driven, and as such, they necessitate the district to inspect the construction of these improvements to ensure that they meet our standards. Now, originally, the estimate for inspection services was based on the scope of work that was provided from Lennar, and that was estimated by MWH to be $285,572. However, based on the construction progress by the developer's contractor and revisions to the construction schedule, additional work days for inspection services are needed to perform oversight of the remaining construction of the district's facilities, which equates to an additional $59,150. That's going to be the budget augmentation amount. Now, bear in mind that this amount in previous billings from MWH on this project is 100% funded by the developer through their development deposit that the district retains for work such as this. Staff recommends the board approve this contract amendment with MWH Constructors to inspect the remaining water and sewer improvements for this development. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Eric. Any questions, Director Martin?
No.
Director Mayer? Director Duff?
I had a couple questions that I had posed earlier, and then Mr. Weck kindly reiterated them in that this is paid for by Skyborn. I did have some concerns about this and the next item, but I will discuss my further concerns in the next item.
Vice President? No. And I have nothing further. Do we have a motion for item 13?
I will move.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
President Sewell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 14, contract amendment and budget augmentation for the TKE engineering for construction management and inspection services for Project Viento. It is recommended that the general manager be authorized to execute a contract amendment with TKE Engineering for additional construction inspection services through the completion of the sewer utilities project Viento in the amount of $95,500 for a not to exceed total amount of $275,500. General manager.
Thank you, President Sewell, members of the board. I will ask our engineering manager, Eric Weck, to again take this item. Eric?
Thank you, General Manager Macy, and good afternoon, President Sewell and members of the board. Item 14 of this afternoon's agenda pertains to amending the existing contract and augmenting the budget with TKE Engineering for inspection services they are currently performing at the Project Viento or Amazon development site. Last year, the board approved a professional services contract for full-time CM and inspection services with TKE engineers to not only inspect the water and sewer improvements, but also a new sewer force main, as well as the sewer lift station located on the north side of 20th Avenue, just south of the new Amazon facility. As with a previous agenda item, these improvements are developer-driven, and as such, they necessitate the district to inspect these improvements to ensure that they meet our standards. Originally, the estimate for inspection services was based on the scope of work from Amazon Development, and that was estimated by TKE to be $180,000 for 125 working days. However, based on construction progress to date and the most up-to-date construction schedule provided by the developer, construction is expected to continue through this August, with substantial completion anticipated for June, with the site being energized from SCE in July, which will allow startup and commissioning in August. Again, bear in mind that this amount in previous billings from TKE on this project is 100% funded by the developer through Amazon's development deposit that the district retains for work such as this. Staff recommends the board approve this contract amendment with MWH Construction to inspect the remaining water and sewer improvements for this development. Before I ask for any questions, I just want to draw your attention to how massive this lift station is. And just to get a sense of scale, you can see that pipe, that real big 16-foot diameter pipe sticking out of the ground. And for scale, there's that gentleman on that easy lift in there. So that's how big, and all of that will be underground. A lot of the working mechanics and pipes and pumps and everything is underground. And we have a kind of a snapshot or screenshot of this lift station that Amazon is constructing for us. So, are there any questions?
Thank you, Eric. Director Duff?
I had some questions in regards to the, again, increase to one of their management contracts for this particular contractor. I expressed that I would like to see these services being provided by staff in-house so that we could be making this money in MSWD and our staff can be earning that instead of paying it out the minute we get it. Could you just share with us the answer you gave me earlier, General Manager Macy, in regards to your plan for the future?
Yes, absolutely. So the change in these two projects with just these two items, forget how much was already allocated to these, is just under $155,000. So, and these are just two of the projects that we got from a CIP perspective. If you think about the solar project and other construction we know is going to be happening in 2026. What we would like to do is use our own staff for these items. We have an associate engineer position that is open that would provide some of the construction management services that both of these contracts do, but also we're going to be adding inspector position that will also take some of these services away. So yes, our goal is to bring as much in this as in-house so we have better control of it and provide a better product, not only to the developers, but also the board and our own staff. It's easier to track that way. Take nothing away from these two companies. It's just we can do a better job when we do it in-house. We get a better product only because our staff is the one that are actually maintaining this at the end. So we get it right the first time. Don't have any surprises when we go to take it over. So yes, we are planning for that. You will see this inspector brought to you as part of the budget process as a new position. One of two new positions we'll be bringing you, but also hoping to fill that associate position. Perfect world, and we could get these two positions filled on January 1st, then we would start migrating this 155,000 directly to us and not taking it to our consultants and doing it in-house. But unfortunately, the associate position's been up for several months, and we expect about a month and a half to find that perfect inspector for us. So we brought these two to you because we wanted to keep the projects moving forward, didn't want to hold up any of the construction, but also knowing and hoping that we'll take them over internally at some point.
And in our conversation, if I recalled correctly, you stated that if you bring any of these people on board, it may lessen and will lessen the contracted work with our contractors, and that will be reflected and the money will change as that.
Instead of going to the consultants, it would come to us for either the inspection services that were provided by the inspector or the construction management that would be completed by the associate engineer. Yes.
Thank you for updating.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good questions. Vice President?
All right, we're getting where I want, so.
Director Martin?
No, I have nothing.
Director Mayor? And mine isn't necessarily on the contract, but Eric, this whole project, it's going to be more of a benefit than just to that Amazon development, right? It'll be adjoining parcels will all be using that force main.
Yes, sir. I believe it will connect up to the undercrossing, the sewer undercrossing from the freeway, as well as it'll take up flow from the northerly properties, I believe on Calle de los Ramos as well.
Great. And with that, any other discussion? Do we have a motion on the item?
I will move.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
and President Sewell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to discussion items. Item 15, Critical Service Center and Administration Building Update. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell. There is no update on the Critical Services Center as we continue to work with the city to get a development agreement, but also working with our consultant to look at the design of the water main going down Park Lane, as well as other issues that were related to drainage that the city requested. So we're still working through those. I apologize. I was hoping to be a little bit farther along this month, but we are not.
But we're still seeing movement?
Yes, we're still moving forward and still moving forward with asking for the design and bringing potentially a change order for what I would call the civil and off-site stuff that was not a part of the Renault Clark, but it would be something that we'd have to add to the project to get that water lane designed down Park Lane.
Great. Any discussion, questions?
No.
Thank you. Item 16, Groundwater Protection Program Update.
Thank you, President Sewell. Eric, do we have an update? Sewell, I said Sewell. Eric, do you have? Can you add?
Yes, good afternoon.
Thank you.
What's this agenda item? I don't have that in front of me.
It is the groundwater protection program, the conveyance line, M3 or M2.
M2. Okay, so the state reached out to us late last year and was requesting some more information. We contracted and we reached out to Tom Dodson and Associates to give us some greenhouse gas reports, and those have since a few weeks ago been given to the state for their review, and that needs to happen before they will allow us to bid the project. The conveyance line, last month, the board approved the change order for Downing Construction, and that process and that project is moving forward, although we anticipate that being complete within 3 to 4 months, I believe. And then the regional plant, the the startup and the commissioning and the testing is complete, and I believe that project is now completely ours, and we're operating it.
Great. Thank you, Eric.
Any discussion or questions from the board? Thank you. Item 17, procurement policy.
Thank you, President Sewell, our Assistant General Manager. Marion Champion will take this item. Marion?
Good afternoon, members of the board again. I did want to just keep this on here as a placeholder and keep you well informed. Earlier this month, I brought this to you in the workshop and we reviewed. It's a 37-page document. I will be bringing it back for action at in our June meetings. Since it's a pretty packed meeting in June with the budget, I wanted to put this on your radar now. So if you have any changes or questions that you'd like to see included in the June presentation, please reach out to President Sewell or myself or Brian and let us know. But otherwise, we are making a few refinements. We'll give you a red line version of this when it's ready to be adopted in the June meeting. I have extra copies if anyone would like one in the meantime. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions today? Discussion? No. Thank you. Item 18, affiliations list. I don't know if there was anything from staff, but
Correct. This was an item that was requested by 2 board members, and I'll leave it to the board to have their discussion.
I think it was originally you.
I didn't do it.
I'll let you start it. Go ahead, Ted.
Did anybody make it to any of the BIA meetings? No? Okay. I think really we're looking for here with the BIA is that be okay to go to Riverside and back to through their meetings. I do have a comment on that.
Okay. Yeah, you can go.
And I think that all directors, we've been approved for 10 meetings, so all directors should be able to go to whatever meetings and be compensated up to the 10. Whoever's the designee or the alternate would represent the district at those meetings, but I think it's important for all of us to start sharing each other's meetings and that, and be able to be compensated for them.
How was the BIA meetings last month?
I had some personal issues and I wasn't able to make it either. So I guess nobody showed up from the water district.
I guess just to clarify, when you said alternates, you're saying if the designee can't make it, you're not asking for both to be able to attend, are you?
We've been approved for 10 meetings. And I think till that, you hit the 10, if I want to go to maybe the Coachella Valley Water District meeting, that I'd be compensated for it, but you are the designee there, so you would be the representative. So until we hit the 10 meetings.
I think that's a different.
No, I think it's the affiliation meetings. So you know what, you guys just do whatever you like.
No, I just.
3.5 years.
In terms of the payment, I think that's a different.
I'm required to go to the study session and the board meeting, and that's what I'll be doing for all this.
I mean, I don't think we're trying to argue. I just think there's a reason there's a designate. I don't think a lot of these meetings necessarily need more than one of us to go and report.
Then everybody just came back from work?
Those conferences are different than the meetings of organizations.
Okay.
Going to lobbying conferences, the CSPA, I should put this on. There's a big difference between going to networking meetings and community meetings, including our own city council, than going to conferences that are engaging with lobbyists that are going to DC and Sacramento and handling lobbying on behalf of water for California. We have to be a voice there, and it's very important. There are different types of meetings on the affiliation list, and they're not equal.
And I'm going to respond by saying that when the voters voted for me, they saw it said environmental horticulture, and they wanted me to be involved with environmental issues concerning water. And I have been assigned to any meetings other than the conferences to represent those wishes of the voters. So I'm, like I said, you can if you like, but right now I'm just going to go to the my required meetings by law.
Director,
Yeah, I have a couple of things. First of all, where I want to start is the restriction now is attending BIA meetings only in the Coachella Valley. I think that's a mistake. First of all, the membership of the BIA and Desert Valley Builders Association consists not only of all the builders and or a significant number, if not all, of the builders in a community, and many, if not most, of the elected officials that govern that area. And it does go outside of, and these elected officials from other areas, if they're not members of BIA, or they still attend functions and meetings. And why is that important? We are not a Coachella Valley Water District by definition. We are a Riverside County district. And I think it's important for members, especially the designee, to be able to attend any meeting, even networking nights and whatever the event is, because he's going to be rubbing elbows with the elected official. And you don't necessarily, when you attend these meetings, even though it's more of a social thing, when you're rubbing elbows with these elected officials, generally you're not talking about golf, or you're talking about the issues in casual conversation that we're concerned about. So I think it's important for a representative, and it had been that way up until fairly recently, to attend meetings, not just in the Coachella Valley, but at least in Riverside County, attending meetings on there, to have that kind of relationship. Most of the political people throughout the Coachella Valley and Riverside County that I have met and now recognize me and all that stuff are elected officials throughout the county, not just Coachella Valley. So I'm for expanding that representative to include Riverside County.
Sure.
I think you're confusing something, and you were permitted to attend all DVBA meetings,
right?
Not networking events outside of the county. Same thing with BIA. You could attend the meetings, but not the out-of-county networking events, because those are not compensatable. I would like you to ask your friends that attend if they get compensated to enjoy wine at a wine tasting. No, those are not compensatory networking events for a reason. The gala is not compensated for a reason. Those are not the same type of events. And if you're going to socialize and consume, then you cannot be on the clock.
Well, then I feel that it isn't necessary for two members of the board and our staff to go to Sacramento or Washington, D.C.
Do you feel lobbying is important?
We are paying $5,000 a month for two lobbyists.
Okay.
So a total of $10,000 a month to represent our interests in Sacramento and Washington, D.C.
And they need the electeds there to speak to the other electeds. They don't want to hear from our staff. They don't want to hear from that legislator. That's what they tell us. That's what they told us here in the meeting.
Yeah.
I don't mean to, I'm passionate about this because as Ted had said, he was elected thinking that he was a horticulture expert. I was elected based on financial, fiscal responsibility. And we have a district to be responsible to. We have to care about how we spend that money. And we have to be very, very careful on where we open those doors. And we have to be cognizant of those costs at all times.
I want to make it perfectly clear. I'm not saying it isn't important for us to go to Sacramento and Washington, D.C. What I am saying is it's just as important to be representative at both DVBA and BIA.
At their meetings.
For
At
the
meetings,
for the
yeah.
same-
Can I say something? I just want to clarify something. BIA just had an elected officials event. And nobody from here went, including the designee. So I think talking about going outside of the valley when we're not even attending the things in the valley is kind of a moot point. I think if there's something that is outside of the valley that is of value, we can certainly bring to the board for a vote, which we did which is on the consent calendar for your UWI. But I think unless we're going to attend all the stuff within the valley, I just think, why is it a big deal? Why is it a big deal to go outside of the valley when there's events in the valley and they're not being attended? So that's just.
Well, that's not a historically repetitive thing that occurs. It happens every once in a while. We do have from time to time conflicts that keep us from attending a certain event, and so we don't go. And that's not a rule of thumb. I know Ted goes to a lot of them. I go to virtually every one of the DVBA events because I'm on their board of directors. So it is important to attend these meetings, and I don't think it's any significant issue to attend to withhold attending BIA events.
Well, I'll just maybe trying to take a step back a little bit from how we got to here. I hear you, and I think last year they were open. It was this year that we voted on affiliations list that we closed it. And I think last year reporting on BIA meetings, again, I'd have to go back and it's on YouTube, but there were multiple meetings I think that Director Meyerhoff reported on that was basically, I think you had a gentleman tell you, well, why the heck are you here when you're from, Mission Springs? And so I think that the reason that we decided to close those off was we didn't see the value. And I think as we're really going over our budget and things like that, where we can cut costs is important.
One last thing to address your point is that I was going to a lot of the BIA events before, and then until we assigned to, and then I felt it's his responsibility. I go to DVBA events, and I rarely see the remaining members of the board here attending these events. Sometimes, but rarely. And so I think it's inappropriate to stand in judgment over the value of these meetings when you haven't established in your own responsibility of attending these meetings. So,
I'm not saying they're of no value. I don't want you to take it that way, but I just don't think. We went to Washington, D.C. 2 years ago and we brought back $2.6 million. So I think there's definitely levels. I'm not saying that having great relationships with our electeds is important. And that's why we have a designee to try and attend all the meetings. And there's a alternate. I'm sad that the alternate didn't make it to the recent elected officials BIA event.
Again, I just want to make clear that I'm not suggesting that we open up attending these events to every member of the board. To give the option to the representative on there to attend any event that's BIA within Riverside County.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's.
I think the reasoning that we cut out the outside events, we had a discussion and we made a vote, and that's kind of where it was at. I'm still open to seeing them, like Vice President Griffith said, if there's an event that seems like it's going to be worthwhile, bring it and we'll approve it. I mean, if it's an elected officials, or you brought forth, I believe Director Meyerhoff brought forth a conference that was in Ontario that BIA hosted.
Yeah, couldn't go because it was in Ontario.
I'd have to go back and.
Originally, we went.
Mhm.
I think I mentioned Director Duff and I were there at that conference. But after that, the board changed it to where he couldn't go.
And I think the overall reasoning of the board was to cut out the mixers and the ones that necessarily were
What do we
maybe
do?
not of the value of a conference or a specific elected officials event.
But you're saying that he hadn't been going to some of the events that he could have gone to. At the same time, you're saying it costs too much money to give for a mixer. It seemed that those two arguments seem in conflict with each other. Obviously, it wasn't costing too much because he didn't attend. So anyway.
No, that's two different things. You're saying, well, we save that money, so we should spend it here is what I'm hearing. What I said is, if you're not going to attend the events in the valley itself, why are you asking to attend do it across the board? I want to attend stuff outside of the valley when there's stuff in your backyard that you're not going to. And I'm just saying in general. I think if there's something that is of interest and you say, hey, I think this is really good, bring it, we can take a look and vote on it. But I do think we have to take a look at, are we getting real value for what we're spending? So if you're asking to get paid to go to Riverside County or Riverside's per se, and get paid mileage to all that, and then come back and it was really nothing of value to us, then I have to question, is that something that we as a board want to do from a financial perspective? Are we getting value for what we're doing? That's what ultimately constituents want to see is, are they getting money for the things that we're doing, for the things that we're attending?
Well, yeah, and I agree.
And so that's why we do the aqua, because why? We go and we come back, we get information, we come back that helps us to do our job better, that helps overall.
And I agree with that. The thing is, you don't know whether or not there's going to be anything value until you attend and then find out the value and then bring it back. If you're going to say approve that afterwards. A lot of times before the event, like you didn't know for sure whether or not you were going to get the $2 million going back to Washington. You found that out after you went, that you got that amount of money.
We get that by meeting with
the
legislature.
You didn't know for sure that you were going to get that money.
No, but I didn't go with the intent of, oh, we're going to have a bowling match. There's a difference.
And two, we're all attending these meetings to educate each other when we give those reports. And when the reports come from that end of the dais saying nothing to report, let me see here, nothing to report, nothing to report, nothing to report. A well-attended event, well-dressed, they donated tuxes, nothing to report. Or from Director Meyerhoffen, may I quote, that was an interesting CSDA conference. I'll let Director Duff tell you about it. End of his interpretation. The reason for you to attend is to share with all of us. And so when you come back for a year saying there was nothing to report, it was a good event, nothing to report, nothing to report, that tells everyone else at the table that there was no value in you attending that event.
You're coming back reporting the same thing the staff went there to hear.
Okay.
And
yeah, it's a good, are you saying that you bring value back to share with the rest of the board on every event? You've never said nothing to report on that?
I have said, I don't want to duplicate what other people have said. I've had other people talking over me because they were bored, because my reports were too long. I am asking for respect, and I'm asking for you all to think about what you're asking for. Maybe we should talk about it another time.
First of all, I wasn't voted in here because of a horticulture expert. I don't claim to be one. I won't live that long. The second thing is had to do with the environmental part. My college education, college accredited courses taught me about groundwater, soil conditions. May I finish? And second of all, Director Griffith, Vice President Griffith, your comment about, is there any value to this? If I look at what I've been assigned to over the last 2.5 years, then what you're really saying is I've never been assigned to anything that had value to this district. I've never been assigned to any water, anything that concerns water. I didn't show up here to do PR work for the district. I didn't show up here because I wanted to become a developer. I go off and do that on my own if I want. I'm here to deal with issues of water and meetings of water. And you folks have all got those meetings. I don't get any of them. So now you want to take away what meetings I do go to, that's fine. So like I said earlier, what I'm going to do, the study session, the workshop, and the board meeting. I'm only required to go by law for 2 of those. So until you folks want me to be involved with other meetings that concern water, that's what I'm going to do.
I think you're
And
misconstruing.
I'm all done with all the rest of the meetings that have no value.
I think you're misconstruing what I'm saying.
I don't know what's trying to be said here.
I think your dissatisfaction with what you've been assigned on the affiliations list is something separate from the topic that we're looking at.
When you meet,
Again, Ted, I think that is a separate topic. We're just talking about attending events outside the valley. All right. And if you are a designee and you're not attending the ones in the valley, I think if it's outside of the valley, and again, it goes back to finances. We take a look and do we think it's something that is worth it? Again, if it seems something frivolous, I'm going to say no. I think that's really kind of a waste of our money. But if it seems like it's something of value, sure, do it. And I think that applies to any of us.
And I don't think any of us are saying BIA has no value.
No, but nobody goes to the meetings. I'm not saying.
And we also have the same thing going on with the cultivators. Director F, you're the designee for that. I'm supposed to be the alternate. The last 4 months, I haven't heard. They've had a number of them. Oh, the ones that you think that are valuable.
Spoke to their. Let me put
Director
this.
F, thank you.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I hit the button. I called them and I spoke to them and I asked them, what are your board meetings and what are your events? There are less than 6 board meetings and they haven't had one yet.
They don't want us at, we're not cultivators. Why do we need to be there to listen to their board meetings?
We have participated in that organization, and if you had paid attention, you would have known that.
Oh, I've been paying attention.
Wastewater issue.
That's the problem. I've been paying attention.
I need to take a break. Can we take 5 minutes, please? Or can I excuse myself for 5 minutes, please? Sure. Thank you.
Well, I'll take a break. 5 minutes.
Recess.
And with that, we'll recess for 5 minutes. And Will, are we still recording?
We are, President Sewell.
Okay. And we'll reconvene. And I'll just start off saying that I appreciate everyone's passion, but I don't know if our discussion is really getting us very far. Because it is just a discussion item, it is not something we can take action on today. I would be open to placing it as an action item and we can vote on it come June. Again, I'm not trying to stifle discussion. If there's more to be said today, I am open to that, but I just think a vote is ultimately what we're getting towards. And
The last thing, if I
yeah,
may,
go ahead.
last thing I want to say is that no other group of individuals outside of water district governance and wastewater governance, no other group of individuals deal more with water and wastewater issues in the building industry. They're involved in that process more than cities, more than counties. It's part of their lifeblood. So I think it's important to maintain a relationship with members of both the BIA and Desert Valley Builders Association. Naturally, we're not talking about DVBA, but it's important to develop a relationship, I think, with the BIA to support that entity. So that's all I'm going to say.
Anything further? Are we okay with agendizing it for next month?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all. And we'll move on to the consent agenda. And that consists of item 19, 20, and 21, which is the approval of minutes, the register of demands, and board compensation. Did anyone want to pull any of those items to discuss today? No. With that, do I have a motion to approve?
I will move.
And
second.
we have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
President Sewell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. We'll move on to our reports. Item 22, director's reports. Any end like to go, and we'll just go. Director Martin, would you like to start?
Okay, on April 1st, attended the city council meeting. New police department employees were introduced, a dispatcher, community service officer, and a police officer. And also, they lowered the cannabis tax from 10% to 5%. On April 2nd, the American Water Works Association, there were fines, discussion were fines for water waste were boosted from $137 to $500 for first offense, and second violation was $625. Third offense, or third violation, excuse me, was $1,250. On April 3rd, to our illustrious and capable legal firm, SBEMP, had their 30th anniversary celebration at their new headquarters in Indian Wells. It was a terrific event, and it was a very impressive facility. I was glad I was there. On April 3rd, also, the Desert Valley Builders Association legislative meeting. There were updates from federal, state, tribal, county, cities, and representatives on legislative issues. On April 14th, Desert Valley Builders Association board meeting. There were a report on problems, issues concerning power for development, and then they had the budget report. April 15th, city council meeting. Robert, you'll appreciate this. That's where they gave a detailed account of the Hacienda improvement project, which I know that was a major concern of a lot of the resorts on Hacienda, was that the pathway to get to them was kind of ugly, and it was. But anyway, yeah, they're moving ahead with sidewalks on both sides, and both sides are going to have landscaping, which I thought was kind of cool. So hopefully that'll solve some of the issues, if not all of them. Let's see. Also on the city council meeting on the 15th was the interim police chief was formally appointed, Chief Police Stephen Shaw. He's a nice guy with a pretty interesting, varied background in law enforcement. Public Safety Commissioner, who was appointed by Council Member Jan Pye, was removed from the commission. There was no reasons stated that during that time. I know the reason, but it's inappropriate for me to say so. On April 22nd through the 25th, California Water Environment Association Conference. Topics that were of interest were best management practices, developing comprehensive management plan, safety practices specifications, safety conditions warning indicators, addressing uncertainties via adaptive planning, and training high-performing leaders. Of course, the highlight was Mission Springs Water District wins the CWEO Award for community engagement and outreach in the development of the water reclamation facility. The keynote speaker was a very entertaining guy, Justin Jones Fosu. Should be on Saturday Night Live, I think, or something like that. But he was very, very entertaining. On April 23rd, the Water Authority meeting. Sorry, but there's nothing to report. On April 24th, the town hall meeting, which it was a State Senator Rosa Lisa Ochoa Bogue had a very, very nice, informative meeting. And a day or two later, I received a very nice letter from her. It was very, very, very nice. And she's very capable, and I think she'll do a good job. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Director Merrill?
Yes, it'll be a short one, so please pay attention when you take notes. I attended the CSDA Leadership Academy in order for the district to get their certificate in excellence. The first day was the usual stuff that we've already learned from the attorneys, and being here and being serving on the 3 commissions with the city, my involvement there. It was interesting. It was mostly on HR, and the attorney was good. And the next day went into I was there for a half a day, and it was about financing. And I think the most important thing there was every director and council member or whoever it is should know the budget forwards and backwards. And I think that's important to do that. Other than that, I don't have anything to bring back to the board of importance.
Thank you. And I'll just keep it going down this way. I have 2 to report on. The first was the DC legislative trip, and that was April 1st through the 4th. There was a lot of uncertainty in the meetings, but I think they went well. Quite a few of the offices were familiar with our project, and I think we're happy to see us. Our lobbyist, Laura, I think she did a great job setting up all of our meetings, and she actually included a couple that we had not done in years past, and that was meeting with the Senate and House Energy and Water Appropriations subcommittees. So I think that was a real benefit this year, being able to share our project with them, because they're really the ones going all over the different recommended projects and ultimately having some say in that final decision of who's going to get the funding. So that was a nice bonus. We also met with Ian Lyle, who is the new I did not write down his title, but he's in the Aqua DC office. He's their new head guy back there, and that went really well. And he and Laura actually have some connections, so I think that's going to be a good fit. It seems like Laura knows just about everybody back there that we see, so I'm very happy with the work she's doing, and it was good to get back there. Um, I think they say the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So I think this was good to go back even in times that were maybe not as optimistic to get the funding, that we're just staying relevant in these different offices, and our project still is top of mind for them. Then on April 2020, oh my, I can't talk. April 22nd, CVWD board meeting was a pretty light agenda, but one item that stood out to me was they passed local community contributions and sponsorship policy. I'm not sure if we have something like that, but maybe something to look into. But basically, their policy is going to help guide them with annual fund allocations for local initiatives and events and projects that are aligned with their mission. So their funding amounts, when they do their budgeting process this year, is going to be kind of determined. But their policy is to have a cap of $5,000 per event is their max that they can contribute, and 10,000 per organization per year. So I thought that was interesting, and maybe something that we put into our financial plan or just to look at for the future. And that's all I have for this month. Vice President?
I too went to DC on the legislative trip, and just so people have a little clarification, we had talked earlier about meeting with the House and Senate subcommittees. Reason being that our request last year made it to the committee, but never made it out of the committee. And so we thought that possibly if we met with the actual subcommittees to impress upon them the need for our projects, that it might give us a better chance of getting it out of subcommittee. In 2025, nobody got any money because they didn't pass a budget. They just did a reconciliation. We are hopeful that maybe this year they will actually pass a budget. Who knows? But it was a very good trip. Again, yet we did meet with those extra steps, and we met with all of our legislators' offices. Very quick trip. It was a fly out, 2 days of meetings and fly right back. Kind of exhausting, a lot of walking, but I think overall it was very, very good. And we had nice weather. Let's see, the 15th, I did the DWA board meeting. It was a quick one. I think they've had 2 quick ones now, or it was mostly just consent calendar. So it was kind of nice. Let me back up on the DC thing because something was mentioned. Contrary to what someone has said publicly, Army Corps of Engineers did not drop us like a hot potato. Okay. Army Corps of Engineers basically said that they don't know what's going on in terms of staffing and their budget cuts, possibly with the LA office or anywhere else. There was no mention of dropping us. It was, we don't know where our budget stands. We don't know where our staffing stands. And so we cannot really offer you any real information at this time, which is not dropping us like a hot potato. So,
and if I could just add too, the woman that we met with, she was doing the job of 3 people, because a lot of people that are close to retirement in the Corps are retiring and taking what they can get before they get cut. So I'm hopeful for the Army Corps to stabilize, but that was a rough meeting.
I got a question. Remember that hot potato comment, that wasn't a member of the board here, right?
it was not a member of this board.
This board. Then I know who you're talking about. Okay, thank you.
Yes. So on the 24th, I did do the CWA awards luncheon. I actually was working, so I had to buzz down, do the luncheon, get up there to accept the award, take pictures, and right back. And the roads were closed, so it was really a tight squeeze for me. But that evening, I also attended the meeting with Senator Ochoa Bo, which was very nice of her to come all the way up here. She did express her dismay at the amount of traffic getting here. She must have flown in from Ontario. I share that dismay. We will hit that soon. But it was actually really nice. And maybe I haven't paid attention in the past. I don't remember our state senators ever coming up and having a meeting at DHS City Hall. And so no matter what party you prefer, I think it shows that She is interested in meeting with her constituents. She was going to have town halls in almost every city. So I was really impressed with that. And I wanted to say something about the hacienda. It only goes up to Tamar, the first step. So there is a second one. We are very eager for that.
That's one of the worst looking areas though, with the trash and everything that had been in that vacant lot and all that stuff.
Yes, I will tell you that I did, which is not related so much to water, but it is related to development, is there was an investors conference for hotel investors in LA, and I just attended that with the city to talk to developers and talk about Desert Hot Springs, and in the interest of trying to get people to come here and develop. And we were pretty well received. And one of the plots of land that we pointed out was that stretch on Hacienda, which is the Two Bunch Palms specific plan. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Okay. On April 1st, I attended the DWA board meeting on behalf of Vice President Griffith, and they approved and accepted the completion of the $500,000 maintenance contract that was completed at the Mission Creek replenishment ponds. They also had comments made to them by a Teamster who was looking forward to having meetings with them. They also had a pretty small consent calendar that they went through without much discussion. Nothing that affected us here. On the 2nd, they had a second meeting that I also had to attend on behalf of Vice President Griffith. That was a special board meeting for their strategic plan. That I found much more interesting. It was very interesting to watch another district go through the process that we all went through. And the differences in how everyone approaches that was very interesting. They had a woman named Jeanette Williams that was trying to help them through this plan. And she was giving them some metaphors, which was really confusing some of the board members, or one in particular. And that same board member had a real issue with their mission. They couldn't get past the mission and values, which I found interesting. He had a real issue with being held accountable to statements made to the public. So I just wanted to state that. I thought that was very interesting to hold up their whole strategic plan, because he was very, very perturbed by a statement saying that they would be held accountable to all statements made to the public. Moving on April 10th, I attended my CVAG Conservation Committee and Energy and Security meeting, and they announced that they were recipients of a $500,000 Cal Recycle grant focusing on trash removal. They then promised our council member Gary Gardner that a large sum of that would be going to several encampments in Desert Hot Springs. So that was very encouraging news for our community to see that large sum of money come in from CVAG, and that they're going to actually put it back into helping Desert Hot Springs remove these large encampments and the trash that's surrounding them. They also talked at length about Prop 4. They have a lot of funds that they had been waiting for, that they are still waiting for, that they are hopeful will come through. But they had specific grant money coming from that for fire risk and to remove further tamarisk and flood zones for fire prevention also. Then the energy and security meeting, was entirely spent discussing the South Coast Air Quality Control Board gas removal. I don't really know what you'd want to call it, but where they are proposing to remove the ability to have gas appliances. And if you do, we're going to be paying a much higher charge than electric. And the issue that I think all of the electeds in the room had is that we have a lot of very aged communities with houses that are grandfathered into certain codes. So if they pass this and it requires that a person selling their home has to electrify their whole home, it could cause them to have to literally redo their whole home with new meters and new transformers and everything, because the requirement for that added electricity they currently do not have. And those costs would not be covered by any of the monies that they're talking about giving out to the consumers to replace their gas appliances with electric appliances. So that was the big issue I think that all of us had, was that the benefit of health was negligible, or they haven't proven it, and that the cost was extremely high. So they wrote a letter, which I provided staff and the board, and I think it's also on their website in opposition, stating our community's concerns here in the Coachella Valley. On the 15th of April, I attended an Aqua Sigma subcommittee Zoom call. This one was particularly on the Russian River fire update. It was giving an update post the fires on all of the Russian River repairs and things that they had to do to try and correct what the fire and the mud flows after that had created. Not too applicable for us here, but it was a very interesting, and a lot of pictures, which was interesting to see. On the 16th, Aqua State Ledge subcommittee, we discussed many, variety of bills. I don't want to say many, but a variety. We were not, the committee was not in favor of AB 660 unless it's amended. AB 956, no position. We're currently watching, although we are concerned, and several of the water and wastewater folks, including myself, did agree that this AB 956, although it doesn't specifically discuss water or wastewater, water and wastewater are not currently getting credits that are affected by the bill's decision. And so although there isn't anything specifically in there that talks about water, they are watching it to see if any language changes as it goes through the process. On the 22nd through the 24th of April, I attended CWEA conference in Palm Springs, as well as Director Martin did. On the 22nd, I was at the plant, Nancy Wright Regional plant tour that the group took, and it was amazing. I am so proud of our staff. The professionalism and the way they carry themselves, the pride that they hold in the facility, and everyone was so enthusiastic, leaving there so impressed, telling me that we need to hide our staff from everyone because they want them. So needless to say, they enjoyed themselves, and it was another great tour. On the 23rd, I don't want to talk, you took Mr. Faso, who I really loved, the keynote speaker. He was a great speaker, had drums and very energetic, but the overall conference was very deep, very specific in boots on the ground type educational seminars. And I found it very educating, some of it over my head, still trying to catch up on some of it, took a lot of notes. I attended several breakout sessions. I wanted to have more time because I wanted to share with you. I went to one specifically about the wipes and how we had always had this Marion, help me if I'm getting it wrong. It was the 3 Ps, right? Can you help me with that really quick? Come on. Yes. The 3 Ps were the only things allowed: paper, and then basically the bodily functions, number 1 and number 2. And those were the only things to be flushed. And it was this big campaign nationwide about those are the only things that can be flushed. The thing I found amazing was they had done a study, which we had heard about through a couple different organization meetings that we had had. And 50, what did it say? I have to get it. Hold on one second. 90% of what's on the market that says is flushable is currently not flushable and is in the process of being through lawsuits. And there is a specific symbol that shows a toilet with a circle and a cross out that says it's not flushable, or one that says it's okay. And so you're supposed to look for those symbols now, and it's called the Flush Smart campaign. But what I found amazing, and we've worried about it here, the flushable wipes, right? 80% of what they found was paper towel. And that was shocking to me. So I thought that was really interesting. They also gave us all a baby wipe and a flushable wipe and said, tear them. And you could not break that baby wipe for anything. But the flushable wipes just tore like tissue paper, just shredded. And they said, that is the difference. We need it to shred like that, like toilet paper does. It cannot be indestructible. So it was an interesting hands-on that they gave that I thought for Marion and her works with the kids, that might be something very useful in the classroom. And then, let's see. Also went to a leadership track with, again, Mr. Faso, and he was giving a talk on respectfully disagreeing, which was really interesting and not as well put in practice as I would have liked today because I didn't have his drums and he wasn't sitting here making me remember everything he had said. But one thing that is, and I do want to say this, in spite of any disagreements that we may have, in spite of how passionate we are, we can still be okay with pursuing your humanity and be okay with looking at each other as human beings and focusing on that part instead of what we disagree on and trying to find a way to, through respect to meet those difficult conversations somewhere in the middle. Anyway, there were many, I could go on and on, but I know that you guys have a flight to catch. If you guys want any more information on any of the meetings that I did attend, I took numerous notes. And then the last thing I wanted to say about that conference was, I wrote a quote, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, the last thing I wanted to comment, the last one I attended was from the City of Carlsbad Utilities Manager. It was on preparing the Center of Preparedness, the Department of Operations Center of Preparedness, and the EOC, all of those things. And I have a lovely checklist for our staff to go through to make sure that we are ready to work with everyone. There are some wonderful grant monies available to build on our EOCs that we may want to look into. That was what I needed to make sure I said. Aside from that, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 23, General Manager's Report. We have the Finance Report and Public Affairs Report.
Yes, both of those items are in your packet. I would ask that each director come up and give a brief summary of those items that are found in your report and ask any questions at that time. First up would be Finance Director Arturo Ceja. Arturo?
Thank you, General Manager Macy, President Sewell, and members of the board. A quick summary on page 159 of your report. Total revenue for the year so far has been $3.5 million. Of that, the primary difference is the expenses. And if I'm looking at the numbers that are coming through for budget transfers, we're going to pick up those differences coming up in May and June with everything that's pretty much ramping up now. So you can see the non-operating revenue is up 660,000. Most of that is the 800,000 in the revenue side, which is composed of the interest and investment income that we have for the year. Looking at cash, we're 25 million over from last year. And you can see the CalTrust numbers from last year to this year, a total increase of $1.7 million just on our investments with CalTrust. And we continue to have good numbers with that at 3.20% interest revenue. That's all I have for now. If you have any questions.
Any questions or comments, Director Martin? No. Director Martin? Director Duff? Yes, ma'am.
No.
Thank you, Arturo.
Thank you, Arturo. Now Assistant General Manager Marion Champion with the Public Affairs Report. Marion?
Thank you, General Manager Macy, and good afternoon again. Go ahead and go to slide 2. I'm going to try to condense this as much as I can, but as you'll be able to see, it's been a very event-filled month. Some of the more notable events include our April 23rd blood drive, which netted more than 8 donations of life-saving blood. We also participated in a special town hall meeting that was mentioned earlier with Senator Ochoa Bo on April 24th. We look forward to continuing to work with her and her staff to help meet the needs of our district and our community. Another notable event included the 2025 CV Can Golf Classic. MSWD staff manned the water hole, and we got a chance to talk to members of the cannabis industry about our water and wastewater services. It was a very long but fruitful day, filled with good conversations and engagement with our industry partners. From a leadership and learning standpoint, we had several notable events, including the CSDA Leadership Academy held in La Quinta and the Aqua Spring Conference, which was held last week. Prior to the start of the conference, staff and several members of the board were invited to a special tour of the Carmel Area Wastewater District, which generates more than 1 million gallons of recycled water each day. On Saturday, April 26th, we celebrated Earth Day at Cabot's Pueblo Museum, and in total, we had more than 125 visitors, with 105 people taking a self-guided tour. The Real Academy, including several of the interns you met earlier today, unveiled a new and improved version of their 3D printed model of the aquifer. And of course, the MSWD table featured a special water tasting booth to educate the public about our award-winning water. Overall, it was a very good event and one that we look forward to sponsoring again next year. I also wanted to take a moment and note the CWEA conference that was held in Palm Springs last month. MSWD was prominently featured at the conference as both a pre-conference tour of the Nancy Wright facility and as the state award winner for community outreach and engagement for the plant. I'd like to thank everyone who participated in the awards banquet. It really is a testament to all of the district's work and how our employees are engaged and making sure that our community knows about our affairs here at the district. Looking forward, our outreach is not stopping there. Today, staff and members of the board will be heading to Sacramento to engage with our lawmakers on important issues that impact the district and other special districts across the state. We are also a water sponsor for the Desert Hot Springs High School graduation coming up on May 30th. We will have a banner congratulating the students, and we will also be serving complimentary MSWD water to those in attendance. We also have several DVBA events coming up, including the June 19th Member Appreciation Event, which is typically has a very good turnout and is a great opportunity for staff and members of the board to mix and mingle with the building community to hear what is important to them. We also have a Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce installation dinner being held on June 10th, which is typically very well attended by the business community, and the CVAG General Assembly meeting on June 30th, which brings electeds from throughout the valley together for informative updates on projects and initiatives throughout the valley. Our April Water Matters newsletter featured information on updating contact information, going paperless for Earth Day, and making conservation a way of life. Our May newsletter features the CWEA award that we mentioned earlier, the Help to Other program, annual sewer prepayments, and Water Awareness Month. I did want to bring out or highlight 2 mini campaigns that we've been running this past month. One is carrying over the theme of Earth Day, where we're encouraging customers to go green by registering for the portal and choosing the paperless billing option. And the other is a mini campaign, which we are currently running for the sewer prepayment option for customers that may want to keep their annual sewer fees and prepay them and avoid having them on their property taxes. In addition to social media and our website, we are also promoting these campaigns on our paid and non-paid sites, advertising like on the You Can Report, and also in HOA newsletters whenever it's applicable. And lastly, I did want to just give you an update on the Like Us and Follow Us campaigns. In the past 4 months, we've added 157 new Facebook followers and 65 new Instagram followers. And that concludes my report for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on general manager's report?
None at this time, President.
And then typically, I know we don't have closed session today, but I believe we're missing do you have counsel?
Normally we deal with things that are attorney-client privilege, so we can't really discuss them in open session. So typically, if we have something to go over with the board, we do it in closed session. And I know that's put on the agenda regularly, but it's not very often that we have anything that we can really go over in open session.
Great.
But there are no closed sessions today.
Thank you. Item 24, general manager comments.
No additional comments. Thank you.
And then item 25, director comments and requests. Director Martin?
I have nothing.
Director Martin?
I'm just going to say that I'm really going to disappointed that the directors think that they need to take notes of what I'm reporting on. And it just shows me what direction that we are going, and we're supposed to be working together as a team. But now I know what to expect come next election.
Director Duff? Vice President?
I want to congratulate Director Meyerhoffen for doing the CSDA Leadership Academy.
Thank you.
Found it
Appreciate
as valuable as I did. Some of it was boring, long days. And sometimes you kind of, especially after lunch, you start to zone out and fall asleep. But I did find it was actually worthwhile. And so I can say that I am proud that our entire board has now attended the CSDA Leadership Academy. And that's an honor. And so congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. And I just have a comment of when I came into the room today, it was packed, and it seemed like everyone in the room was happy seeing all the interns and our employees. And I just want to say that it's nice to come here and have everyone in kind of a good mood. And I know it got a little contentious for a second, but I'm happy to have all of you on the board with me. And with that, meeting is adjourned.